Hello, my name is Josh. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I am recently divorced. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about a subject that I struggled off and on with while I was in my divorce process, and that is this idea of the perfect Mormon family, quote unquote, and how mine was destroyed. Now, I think all of us have some perception of that, and then even within our marriage, as we start to have kids and just realize the complexities of life, much of that just tends to disappear. That idea of what the perfect Mormon family is. You realize not all the kids brush their teeth when they're supposed to. Not all the kids have perfectly combed hair when they go to church. You may have some kids that are really rambunctious and have a hard time sitting down for anything. So you kind of learn that in many ways, and we come to accept as we grow older and mature, that this perfect family in many ways doesn't exist. Although we probably look at certain families within our ward and think, well, they just really seem to have it together. And we always think that without knowing any better. But we deep down, I think, kind of know that just isn't true, but we desire it. Well, once you start the divorce process, I think sometimes we think that now our family has reached a level of dysfunction that is too much. It's too much. I can't deal with this. Now all my family is so broken. It's so much outside the realm of maybe what we think is acceptable. It's hard to put words to it, but it's something I know I struggled with. Sometimes you even worry about what are people going to think about my family if they know that I'm divorced now. What are people going to think in the ward that aren't divorced? Maybe that I'm, my family is now really just messed up, and maybe, we're going to be the welfare project of the ward. Those kind of thoughts just run through your mind, but I think we need to learn, or at least I needed to learn, to just pay no mind to those thoughts. But one day as I was really contemplating it, I had a thought come to my mind. And it was this. The scriptures start really with Adam and Eve. And they end up falling and then have a son who kills another son and then runs off and does a whole lot of bad stuff. We can fast forward a little bit to Abraham, whose father tries to kill him. And Abraham, spends a lot of trouble because of that. There's a lot of trouble because of that for him. Fast forward a little farther, and you run into Jacob. From pretty much the time he's born, he's fighting with his brother. That fight pretty much continues until they're adults. They kind of reconcile finally. But before that, he goes to find a wife, gets tricked by his in-laws into marrying the person he wants to marry, his sister. So he's got in-law problems pretty much right away. Ends up having to ditch them and take his now 2 wives with him. And there's problems there. And then he has, his sons, and they cause him all sorts of trouble. His entire life they're causing him trouble. And only one of those troubles is that they sell one of their sons, who happens to be kind of his favorite, into slavery and will tell him that he's dead. So Joseph's family is just disaster after disaster after disaster in many ways. Yet we know what the Savior said about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob when he was on the earth. We know what the Savior said about them, that they were sitting in glory. So eternally, I guess things worked out for Jacob. I also think the thought also occurred to me of, Lehi's family. He's got Nephi and Samuel and Jacob, who are these good sons. He's got Laman and Lemuel, who every time we read what Lehi says about them, he clearly loves them, and he clearly is pleading with them to stay close to the Lord, but they're a little stiff-necked. They cause a lot of problems along the way. We can go a little bit farther down the line, and you have Alma, who, despite going through quite a bit of turmoil, he then becomes the leader of the church, and then not too much later, his son, who's named after him, decides that he wants to try to destroy the church, and he goes out preaching against his father. Fortunately, there is a miraculous intervention there, but then that son, Alma, has a son, Corianton, who goes on a mission and then decides to leave his mission to chase after a harlot, and then makes that city very difficult to preach in. So, and that is nothing to say of modern prophets and apostles and some of their stories. I mean, I was just reading the other day about Joseph and William Smith, and the fight that William got into with Joseph over a disagreement they had, and William hurt Joseph so badly that Joseph had to have, it was a very difficult time getting up or standing up at all, or sitting back down. He needed help. That's how bad the beating Joseph took at the hands of his brother, and they were adults when that happened. So the point is as I started reflecting upon this, I realized, man, the scriptures are really replete with messed up families. Maybe that should give me some hope. Maybe that should give me a lot of hope, because I don't think any less of Lehi or Nephi or Jacob or Abraham or Adam and Eve or Joseph Smith or even his brother William. I don't think less of any of them. Instead, what I see is all the things they overcame, all the faith that they showed, all the challenges that they endured, and in the end, their attempts to live the best life that they could live, to follow the Savior. So maybe my focus needed to change a little bit, because in the end, following the Savior is what's really going to matter. Everyone has their own agency, and sometimes because of that, we're put into tough situations where our family does struggle. But in the end, I know I can focus on the things that help me, and I can do my best to be my best. And then I can really not worry about anything else. That doesn't mean that, I'm not going to have future difficulties with my family. Actually, if the scriptures are an indication, I'll probably have those kind of troubles forever, at least in this life. But that's okay. Sometimes we have to learn how to love others in those times. And sometimes we have to love others even when our own situation is far from the ideal that we expected or thought we would have. So if you're feeling like that at all, that your family is so messed up and your, perfect Mormon family is not a thing, it's okay. That hasn't been a thing for many great men and women who have followed Christ, and we know are now sitting with him on the other side of the veil.